Hi there. Welcome on board today's journey through the pages of another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. We'll be visiting wards of the state at Mount Olivet Boys Home, plus a look at diabetes, complications of the disease and modes of care. Stick around, there's also a plastic bottle greenhouse you'll want to see. Those and more right after this message.
It just makes sense that while we make hay as the sun shines, we should also save for the rainy days, because even as we all strive to rule our own destiny, life holds some inevitable and unexpected outcomes for which we should be as prepared as possible. Get the help you need now through the National Insurance Scheme. The NIS offers financial security when it's most needed to all gainfully employed or self-employed persons who contribute to this scheme. Whether it's loss of income due to injury on the job, sickness, retirement, and/or death of a breadwinner, there will be help waiting for you and your family. So if you are over 18 years of age and working, visit your nearest Ministry of Labour and Social Security parish office and get registered under the NIS. Start making your contributions in order to reap the numerous social protection benefits when that rainy day occurs. Email prunit@mlss.gov.jm or call 876-922-8000 to 13 for more information.
Wards of the state housed at the Mount Olivet Boys Home were assisted with preparation for back to school by the JIS and sponsoring partners. We have the highlights of the visit, which saw the boys receiving school supplies and valuable career talks.
The Jamaica Information Service, JIS staff, accompanied by relatives and friends, arrived at the Mount Olivet Boys Home to the warm greeting of a group of eager children in August. It was the ideal weather for this annual visit to the home for back-to-school prep and career day. The JIS has been organizing and sponsoring activities like this for just about 10 years. The team from Kingston made the trip with lots of goodies for the new school year, as well as other general supplies needed by the home. All hands were at work as the many boxes of supplies had to be unloaded and carried uphill along a narrow driveway, the lighter ones by hand and the heavier ones by car. Also attending for the day's activities were career professionals such as police officers, firefighters, scientists, dentists, barbers, musicians, and of course, journalists from the JIS.
As an agency, we felt that it was necessary to become involved in our community. And corporate social responsibility is very key to all of us here as a core value. And usually we talk about giving back and paying it forward.
As activities proceeded on the day, the boys took turns going to get free haircuts provided by barbers from Hart School of Beauty Services, who were on board for the second time around.
Mount Olivet Boys Home is the place of choice for boys in state care. Everybody wants to come here. And this didn't happen as an accident. It happened because we have people like the GIS staff who are so committed.
The director of the boys' home says the support over the years has reaped academic success, with some of its wards heading to tertiary institutions this school term, some with passes in excess of 76 subjects.
Last count, it was 10 boys who were placed between 1st and 10th in their school in the last exam. So JIS, I want you to understand, so you're present at Mount Olivet and your commitment, it is paying off.
And for those of you who want a little souvenir of your fingerprints, you can always check me later.
It was an exciting Career Day 2019 as scientist Daniel Gillings grabbed everyone's attention with his display of how a volcano works. A presentation on photography by our own Michael Slowly was no less intriguing. Similarly, the president of the Jamaica Dental Association was inspirational.
A couple of years ago, I was just like any one of you, going through the system, poor family background, and I realized early, as a result of similar talk of this nature, that you can achieve just about anything at all that you want to achieve.
A road safety expert also had encouraging words for the young wards.
Anybody tell you anything come easy is lie, them telling, lie. You have to beat those books, take the books, night and day. Know something that somebody else don't know.
One stripe, that means Lance Corporal.
The firemen present were eager to show us their display of the many ranks in the field and what the different badges and stripes mean, as they explained their duties and the benefits of the job. Ending the career aspect of things was drummer Leon Campbell, who generously passed on his skill and knowledge to the boys in an entertaining engagement.
It's a great career as a musician, and it's a great opportunity to see the world. The pay scale varies. You get paid to play for an hour. Sometimes the pay you get to play for an hour is what some people work for a month.
Every one of the speakers did marvelously as they presented on their own career and of course gave a little bit of their background and really got the boys inspired.
One of the happiest moments of the day for the approximately 50 boys and young men was the presentation of gifts. There were cards for those who celebrated birthdays in the months of May to August, cutting of the birthday cake, as well as individual gifts from staff members. After adopting the home in 2019 as its main corporate responsibility project, staff of the JIS and other partners have been visiting the home at least 3 times per year with financial and physical assistance and mentorship.
It's always said boys are marginalized and we really wanted to empower them. And we really want to commend the administrators of the home for working so well with us over the years to ensure that our contributions continue to be very meaningful.
Every visit is always a long, busy day, and that includes taking a break to fuel and re-energize with some sumptuous meals, which staff and volunteers pitched in to prepare and share. All the effort wouldn't be that fruitful, however, without the corporate support from other dedicated partners. On board this time, we had the old and the new. The JIS will continue to share the love and give back. The next major visit to the Mount Olivet Boys Home is set for mid-December. Find out how you can join in and donate. Contact the Jamaica Information Service at 58A Halfway Tree Road, Kingston 10. Call 876-926-3590, extensions 2132 or 2137.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
In Jamaica, 4 out of 10 persons with diabetes are unaware they have the disease. Importantly too, there is no symptom in the early stages of diabetes, hence the need for persons to do their regular health checks. Let's find out more about this disease and how it can impact your health, as well as the modes of care available.
Diabetes is a common illness. Most of us may be aware of its various complications, such as diabetic retinopathy and neuropathy, diabetic kidney disease, and so on. But when it comes to deaths caused from diabetes, cardiovascular complications account for the majority. Diabetes is recognized as one of 4 major factors for developing cardiovascular disease, the others being hypertension, obesity, and cigarette smoking.
About 68% of persons over the age of 65, and this is data now from the American Heart Association, 65% of persons over the age of 65 who have diabetes will die from heart disease, and about another 16% will die of stroke.
Before we take a look at how to manage or even prevent cardiovascular complications of diabetes, let us look at how persons come to develop the disease.
In a nutshell, what generally happens is that diabetic persons have a more rapid rate at which fat and cholesterol is deposited in the arterial system. So we all have that. It's considered part of the process of aging. Fat and cholesterol is being laid down in our arteries. However, diabetic persons tend to have that happen at a more rapid rate. Okay? And as a result of that, what tends to happen is that diabetic persons will progress to a point where they have compromised vessels. So in other words, the lumen, the diameter of the vessel, is narrowed, the flow of blood is limited.
And as the heart muscles become starved of blood, various acids accumulate and persons will tend to experience what is called angina, or a type of chest pain.
You may get complete blockage of the vessel, which may now result in what is called a heart attack.
Heart tissues are not meant to function in an environment where the blood sugar level is elevated. And so, another incidence of diabetic cardiovascular complication results where high blood sugar levels in persons who are diabetic becomes directly toxic to heart cells. This impairs the ability of blood vessels to open normally under conditions of stress, such as exercise, and also causes inflammation and impaired clotting of the blood.
So if they are chronically exposed to those levels of elevated blood sugars, then there are biochemical consequences. There's weakness of the heart muscle, and patients, many of them, go on to developing heart failure and so on.
The diagnosis of cardiovascular complications is more difficult in diabetics, where the symptoms appear unclear or may be different from the non-diabetic patient. Take, for example, a non-diabetic person with, say, coronary heart disease.
Generally, they will say, well, look, doc, I felt pressing pain to the center of my chest. It's moving down my left arm. It comes on with activity. It stops when I stop engaging in whatever activity. It feels like a weight or like a pressure, like a squeezing sensation, and it's associated with other things like shortness of breath and so on. Diabetics, however, have a particular problem because they have damage to the nerves, and therefore they may not actually experience chest pain at all. If they do, it may not be the typical angina which we would normally expect a patient to describe. Okay? So oftentimes diabetic patients who are having cardiovascular disease will say that, doc, I just feel a little funny sensation in my chest, a little discomfort. I just feel short of breath, or, I'm walking up the stairs, or I'm running after my grandkids and I find that I'm just out of breath.
The rest of the diagnostic process, however, is similar and may include an echocardiogram, ECG, blood works, or various stress tests accessible at public health facilities and at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica. Generally, diabetic patients will have elevated blood sugars in their urine, which, if identified, serves as a red flag and need for more specific testing. A urinalysis or urine dipstick test is generally done as part of school medicals, oftentimes as a screening test for diabetes. As with every illness, early detection and prevention is key to having good health.
It would be good every year for every person to be checked. If you're diabetic, you would have been told how often you need to check your blood sugar by your health professional. But if you're just doing checks and you're healthy otherwise, then at least once a year to check your cholesterol, your sugar, your blood pressure, do your ECG to see if there is any abnormality in the heart.
The treatment of cardiovascular disease in diabetic patients is more holistic, involving lifestyle changes to include diet, exercise, and maintaining a healthy weight.
In a nutshell, we advocate for, eating primarily fruits and vegetables, things like whole grains and nuts, limiting one's intake of fast foods, foods with high fat content, high cholesterol, salt, and so on, and portion size management as well.
More unprocessed foods, less of the very refined high sugar foods. So there are those foods that are obviously very high in sugar. So the typical recommendation, if you look at a plate, half of the plate should be more plant-based foods, leafy vegetables, and some fruit.
In general, 150 minutes minimum per week of moderate exercise such as swimming, brisk walking, jogging or cycling is recommended. Besides the lifestyle changes, clinical treatment through prescription drugs and surgical procedures is an important element in caring for persons with cardiovascular complications of diabetes.
We have medications to address symptoms, we have medications to prolong life. And that forms an important part of the approach. There are a variety of procedures which diabetic patients and other non-diabetic patients may qualify for, or it may be necessary to pursue. So we speak of things like stenting, for example, coronary artery bypass grafting, which is of course open heart surgery, major surgery. Diabetic patients we have a lower threshold for referring diabetics for that kind of procedure just because of the severity of their disease.
Medications developed primarily for use by diabetic patients have been shown to have significant cardiovascular benefits as they reduce the risk of death and complications related to cardiovascular disease in diabetic patients. But with most of them still under patent, access is quite costly. Your best treatment option is to adopt healthy lifestyle practices that make you less prone to developing diabetes or cardiovascular disease. So many wish they could visit our shores. We live where they vacation. Brand Jamaica beckons all from the four corners of the earth.
Well, as a Jamaican, I have great pride in selling it. Your pride that you sell Jamaica with is something that it rolls off. Jamaica has so much to offer, and every time I have the privilege of bringing an executive down to Jamaica, an executive from an airline or a tour operator or a travel agency, and you take them across the country, the pride that they said, wow, I can't imagine, especially when it's their first time. Wow, I love this.
Build it. Cherish it. Our wealth is Brand Jamaica.
Discarded plastic in our environment pose a serious threat. One of the solutions for mitigating this is to reduce its use and recycle and reuse where possible. Take a look now at how these primary school students are finding ways to turn used plastic into agricultural innovation.
Recycling, the process by which used materials are converted into new, usable products. One of those commonly recycled materials is the plastic bottle. It's often used to produce a number of products, from clothing to furniture and even other bottles. But did you know that bottles can be repurposed into a greenhouse? Well, a team from the Richmond Park Primary School in Clarendon not only built a greenhouse, but also created an irrigation system along the way.
The JCCP and the UNDP involved us into a project in ways how we can sustain the environment. So our school, we came up with the idea of recycling plastic bottles, and because we are in the farming, our school is in the 4-H club, we decided to do the greenhouse and plant crops inside of it. We use plastic bottles a lot in our schools and our surroundings, and we see them all over the place. So we and the students, we came together with an idea to collect all the plastic bottles in our communities, and then we bring them back to our school, and then we wash them, and then we started to build the greenhouse. This size, it took us 1 week, exactly 1 week. Inside we have 6 types of drip irrigation system. We have the cone dripper, where we put the plant inside, we cut the liter bottle and put the plant inside of it, and the water is absorbed by the absorbent cord into the soil. That is, the plant can get the water and the nutrients also. And we have the hose dripper. When the water runs off the roof and catches into the bucket, it leads to the hose and it waters the plants also. And we have the plant hangers and the syrup bottle self-watering system, where the water drips from one bottle to the next until it waters all the plants. So you don't have to go every day to water plants. The bottles are there, it's a self-watering system. All you have to do is to pour some water inside the bottles.
The greenhouse was a hit at the 66th staging of the Denby Agricultural Show in Clarendon and caught the attention of several government ministers, one of whom was Minister without portfolio in the Agriculture Ministry, J.C. Hutchinson, who indicated that this project was in line with something he had been advocating for.
What I've been speaking mainly about is the hydroponics, which part of what you see there is the hydroponics, where you have the water coming through the plastic bottles to filter to the plants. And also you could have aquaponics also, where you have the fish below, and that filters through the plants, through the plastic bottles, and comes back out. Inside there is cooler than outside here, and I think if we can have some of these going, it might suit quite a number of persons who might think of setting up house.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. The use of plastic bottles in the agricultural sector is definitely becoming a thing. So give it a try. Start a backyard garden and help to rid the country of these pollutants. We all can play our part in helping to make the country a cleaner place and even help to boost the economy.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them. A message from the Ministry of Health.
We all love our protein. Chicken, beef, pork. But how often do we eat fish? Is it only at Easter time or when you're at the beach? Incorporating more fish into your diet can be very beneficial to your health. Compared to red meats and poultry, fish has far less calories and cholesterol.
It's the saturated fats and the trans fats that our bodies use to make cholesterol. And fish and seafood have very little saturated fat and trans fat. So in truth and in fact, that makes it a very healthy source of protein.
Fish also has iron, which is important for good reasoning and memory, iodine, which can prevent mental problems in children, and selenium, vitamins, and carotenoids, which are antioxidants. Who knew that we could get so many nutrients from fish? And that's not all. Incorporating fish into our diet can even reduce the chances of developing certain diseases.
Studies have in fact shown that people who have a higher intake of fish compared to other meat sources have less heart disease, they suffer from fewer mood disorders, and they have less cognitive decline with age, so less dementia.
This is due to omega-3 fatty acids, a nutrient that is only found in a few other food sources, such as walnuts and flax seeds. But oily fish, such as sardines, tuna, mackerel, salmon, and trout, are excellent sources of omega-3s and are readily available at your convenience in supermarkets. So we want to add fish into our diet. In what ways can we do this?
So escovitch fish is one of our favorites. Now the onions and the carrots and the vinegar and the pimento, that's all fine. But we don't want to do a lot of deep frying. Deep frying adds calories, nothing like a nice steamed fish, a nice roast fish. And when you roast your fish, you can stuff it with wonderful vegetables like callaloo and so on. So we have to find other ways. Many of us have broilers as a part of our stove and we've never utilized it. We don't know how it's used. And that gives us, I think, the closest taste to fried without adding a lot of oil.
So we've got different styles of cooking the fish, but what about flavor? Jamaicans love adding salt, but fish is already salty. Wouldn't that be too much sodium?
If we utilize other things like lime and lemon juice and or fresh seasonings or scotch bonnet pepper or onions or scallion, we can make our fish flavorful without adding a lot of extra sodium.
That sounds really tasty, but watch out for bones. Make sure to debone fish before giving your children. Even if the fish is bought deboned, check for fine bones with your fingers. If you're not careful, you could end up with a medical emergency. The recommended serving size per week is only 8 to 9 ounces of fish, or 2 to 3 servings per week. With an array of health benefits and a variety of ways to cook it, don't miss out on this lifestyle choice. Make a positive impact on your health by adding more fish to your diet.
So time is money.
Easy, driver. Why no be must man and taxi driver drive so bad?
Why him have to drive so hard? Me nah go make you kill off me and me picnic them.
One stop driver. Make her come off this bus. Me say stop.
Me coming with you. The rest of you not take chance with your life. Lord of mercy. That could have been us.
And look how we want the money.
Passengers, your safety is in your hands. Say one-stop driver and get off if the driver is speeding, overtaking recklessly, and not obeying the rules of the road. Don't give away your life. It is too precious.
We've come to the close of Jamaica Magazine for today, and we hope you found our program very enlightening and ask that you join us again tomorrow for more. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging on to our website, jis.gov.jm, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.